You are listening to a report on Purdue's 31-30 win over Ball State on Saturday in West Lafayette with Muncie Star-Press sports editor Cade Hampton.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome back to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Cade Hampton of the Muncie Star-Press. Cade took the trip from Muncie to West Lafayette today to cover the Ball State Cardinals at Purdue, a 31-0 victory by the home team. Cade, looks like it might be a bit of a long season for Ball State, climbing back to respectability.
You know, like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Obviously, this is a program that is entering a new era under Coach Mike Yurimovich, and frankly hasn't, really been very good in the last couple of seasons. Half the team is new, with a lot of transfers and freshmen. So a very rough start to the Yurimovich era. I think the game itself was not as ugly as the final score would imply.
No.
Ball State, they took good care of the ball. They didn't turn the ball over once. The defense really struggled at the beginning of the game, but after the first 5 minutes, they, actually did a relatively good job kind of limiting the Purdue offense, especially on the ground. But
Purdue had no luck running the ball after early in the game against the Cardinals.
They obviously got things started with a couple of big passing plays down the field, but the run game throughout was kind of bottled up. Devin Maccabee was kind of the one thing on Purdue's roster that was a proven commodity, and he was mostly bottled up. Purdue had under 100 rushing yards for the game, so that's a positive. But the passing defense didn't really look like they had improved from last season. I think the team's biggest weakness last year, and they chalked that up consistently to communication issues on the back end, and that seemed to maybe still be a little bit of a factor. There were just too many open guys, and the quarterback Brown also had a lot of time to get the ball off. Ball State only got home with one sack. Whenever they did apply any other pressure, they couldn't really corral him. Brown was a bit better of a scrambler than frankly than I realized, and maybe than they realized. A couple of positive signs there for the defense. The run defense, the front seven is, looks good. Ultimately, just couldn't really overcome the talent gap between the Big Ten and the MAC there.
And as the sports editor of the Muncie Star-Press, you also have an interest in the Purdue Boilermakers. They did a lot of good things, some things they still clearly need to work on, like the running game, but you mentioned the clean passing pockets. You mentioned Ryan Brown, who looked really good today, and that's one of the keys to the season. But all those weapons, so many different guys.
Receiving-wise, Armand Branch really impressed, especially those first couple of drives. He only finished with 3 catches, but one of them was, on the third play of the game, he caught a 49-yard touchdown, just got wide open down the middle of the field, and Brown delivered the throw. He, broke a couple tackles to get into the end zone, and that play kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. And then Michael Jackson III, he, didn't stop till he got enough.
That's the grandson of the King of Pop, right?
I have no idea if there's any actual relation there, but
I doubt that there is. It's a pretty common last name, just making a joke.
Yeah, but he was really impressive too. I mean, they just found the soft spots in the Cardinal zones throughout the game, and Brown delivered. Brown looks like he's improved from last year. I know he had that really flashy kind of game against Illinois where they almost beat him in overtime, which would have given them their only other win other than their FCS game last year. But yeah, I mean, I think Purdue really improved as far talent-wise, coaching-wise with Barry Odom. I think they really improved maybe a lot more rapidly than, a team like Ball State is able to improve with the coaching thing.
Naturally.
In terms of resources and things like that.
Especially when a coach can bring a bunch of guys from his successful UNLV program over.
They did bring a good amount of really good players from UNLV, especially on that defense that really had a good day, especially the linebackers. They did on the defensive side of things. So Purdue, obviously, really, really tough Big Ten schedule. I don't know if we'll see them improve. The record will certainly improve. that Big Ten schedule for them is just so brutal, and going bowling will still be kind of an uphill climb for the Boilermakers. But
We're winning at least 4 games this year, Cade, and maybe 5. Just so you know, I'm just letting you know.
I would have to agree with you there. Especially after seeing Brown today, Ball State defense still has a lot to work on and was not a great unit last year, but take that with a couple of grains of salt, the performance from Brown today. Not one grain of salt, maybe a couple of grains, because obviously he did look really good, but we'll have to see how he looks against a tougher, more established passing defense in Ball State.
Speaking of which, we probably will not get that next week. Win number 2 is likely against Southern Illinois. And then they host USC the week after that. So we will start to learn more, especially once Brown starts to feel some pressure and those those receivers are facing Big Ten defensive backs. But I think there's I shouldn't say a lot, Cade. I think there's some hope for Purdue fans.
I think Barry Odom was a great hire by them. Based on what I saw today, and they played the right way. One really great moment, and I'll say not a great moment because it was a pretty brutal injury. Purdue freshman receiver he went down, looked to suffer a pretty serious leg injury there when he was getting carted off. This was in really the waning minutes of the game, which makes it that much more unfortunate. But the whole Purdue sideline kind of came out there and was given some pleasantries or kind words, uplifting words to their teammate. And Ball State had basically half of their roster was over there doing the exact same thing. They were coming over. I mean, they were down 31-0, had been defeated. The game was over, and the next couple of plays, Ball State just kind of took kneels to finish it off. But to see the whole team be down like that and go over and uplift their opponent, uplift somebody who was clearly suffering and had a pretty dramatic injury, I think that's a testament to the culture that Coach U is instilling there. They're always going to be good sports, positive, passionate teammates, and that's a good. That's a good team to cover no matter what the record says at the end of the day. They're good guys and they're good sports. And that's really important at the end of the day.
That was nice to see. Now they go to Auburn, and don't want to talk too much about that because Auburn is significantly better than Purdue, probably ascending toward the top of the SEC again. Not going to be an easy one for that staff.
I'm not totally sold on Auburn reascending to the top of the SEC, but that win against Baylor last night was quite impressive. They ran the ball tremendously well, and I think that's going to be really interesting to see because, like I said, Ball State really struggled to stop the pass and was pretty good, pretty solid in run defense. But Auburn, they barely passed the ball with Jackson Arnold, who his upside as a passer it's been kind of well established through his time in Oklahoma that's pretty limited. But man, he ran the ball kind of like prime Michael Vick out there. It was looking like at point, and their running backs really crushed it as well. So it'll really be interesting to see how Ball State builds Auburn's really creative kind of running game, and if they can force them to have to pass the ball, if maybe they have a little bit better luck against Jackson Arnold as they did against Brian Brown. Obviously, talent-wise,
but it's a different type of running game, and about 4 levels, no offense, Boilermakers and Coach Odom, about 4 levels better than Purdue's running game.
I would have to agree with you there. That Auburn offensive line looks pretty stout as well. That obviously played a huge role in the running game. I'm, like I said, not totally sold on them being back at the top of the SEC, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them get ranked this year. And frankly, with them having a much more talented roster, probably the most talented roster they've had under Hugh Freeze, and the Iron Bowl being on the road this year, it really wouldn't surprise me to see them beat Alabama, especially considering I've seen out of the Tide so far today against Florida State.
We can only hope, Cade. We can only hope.
You can only hope. We can move on from.
We've turned a Purdue Ball State podcast into an Iron Bowl podcast, Cade. Hey, let's do it. Let's just do it.
I think if it comes down to that, that it always comes up with you and me,
That's
so
right, every time.
once it gets to rivalry week, to get to November, I'd be down to come on and chat a little Iron Bowl a little bit. I'm not sure how much Alabama I'll get to watch, but I mean, I'll be keeping up with my old alma mater there.
Can't wait to talk about Bo Jackson and the reverse, and I can't wait. Oh, that's right. This was a Purdue Ball State podcast, not an Auburn, Alabama podcast. Sorry about that. Thanks so much to Cade Hampton for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. And to you for listening, please do us a huge favor. Please share this podcast with a Purdue or Ball State football fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.